Today, with the outrage over the death of George Floyd and the rise of the Black Lives Matter movement, the funding and the operations of the police are being questioned more and more often. Evidence of police misconduct has sparked protest and discussions about changing the way police officers interact with black citizens. Most recently, this discourse has led to the controversial slogan of defund the police. While the slogan's meaning varies between extensive police reform and complete police abolition, the question is if defunding the police is really the solution towards racial inequality and police brutality, or will it add more problems? People believe that defunding the police will lower bad policing and the funds can be distributed to other institutions bettering their community. This is quickly gaining popularity through protesters and the media, with people even going as far to say that they should completely get rid of the police institution. This will not work, and it will cause further problems and quickly destroy the communities. The police are trained to help protect our community and stop crime. With them gone or lessened, crime will flood cities and will especially devastate minority communities where crime is statistically higher. There are several reasons why the police should not be defunded. The first reason why I believe their funding should not be taken away is that it will lead to more crime. The reason why is because cops will be stretched thin because of the defunding. Defunding takes more money away from the equipment and the training and will result in cops being laid off to make up for more money. This will limit the response to crime and make them ineffective at stopping serious crime. People will feel that the police do nothing and crime will start to rise because there would be less risk of people being apprehended or arrested because police aren't as powerful anymore. This was seen in the recent riots in Chicago, where the police withdrew interacting and stopping the riots to avoid further aggression. It resulted in the city's most deadly weekend in 6 decades, causing 110 shootings, 85 wounded, and 25 killed. Michael Pfleger, a Roman Catholic priest and social activist in the south side of Chicago, reported, "On Saturday, and particularly Sunday, I heard people saying all over, 'Hey, there's no police anywhere. Police ain't doing nothing.' The lack of police response caused people to not care about the law, and people committed several crimes, including destruction of property, looting, and even led to violent shootings." Radicals will try to counter-argue that we can replace the police officers with community self-policing. The article 4 Ideas to Replace Traditional Police Officers by Rogue Karma wrote, "What if instead of policing at communities, we gave them resources to police themselves?" They believe that hiring small groups of unarmed community members will be effective at partially taking over the police's jobs. This will not work despite them having connections in the surrounding neighborhood. Going to simple calls can quickly turn violent or dangerous for them. And if they do not have proper training or use of weapons, they can end up injured or killed. This idea also does not make sense. Why would we take the same government funds and use it on someone who does not have police training or authority to stop serious crimes? The second reason why defunding the police is not a good idea is that the lack of funds will lead to not as good of training for the officers. Schooling and training officers is very important to make sure that they can properly protect the community It also trains officers not to be racially biased and how to properly apprehend people to avoid injuring them. A lot of police funding goes directly into training like this and other equipment like body cams to ensure good policing. Removing funding may take away from these systems that help end police brutality and racial inequality. Taking away police funding also lowers police budgets and wages. Lower wages force many officers to take extra jobs, leaving them tired and unprepared to deal with a high-stress police situation. This will result in even more bad policing than before. This is seen during the 2008 recession, where many police departments were forced to cut officers as federal funding decreased. In Memphis, use of force complaints almost doubled as officers in an understaffed department were required to work overtime. People who defend defunding the police would say that the training does nothing and that most police officers still racially target minorities. This is not true. On the contrary, to the publicly asserted war on black people by white police officers, few are actually murdered by white officers each year. An analysis of the Philadelphia, Pennsylvania Police Department found white officers were the least likely to shoot an unarmed black person. Just because a few police officers act in a racist manner or exploit their power does not mean that the whole institution is wrong or racist. The belief that all police officers are racist is wrong and has already caused several injuries and even deaths, with the most recent being a man in Compton attempting to murder 2 officers by shooting at them at point-blank range. Then the defund the police protesters blocked the ambulance and hospital that were aiding the dying officers. The truth is, most police officers are good people and join the police force to protect and help people. The third reason why the police should not be defunded is that reform would be a much better way to do this, and you need the funds to train officers to follow newly made regulations. The problem with the police is that some police officers have racially judged or misused their power. The best solution to solve this is to make reforms requiring officers to have more strict racial bias training and require officers to constantly have their body cams on to make sure bad policing gets noticed. Laws can also be created to make officers use non-lethal weapons or require them to fire a warning shot. The Equal Justice Initiative suggests many federal reforms, including a national comprehensive policy on use of force, a law banning lethal force, a requirement that police departments acknowledge the racial inequalities and injustices, mandatory racial bias training, and eliminating qualified immunity, which protects officers from being sued for wrongful death. EJI states these reforms can help to change the culture of policing, to build trust, legitimacy, and accountability. Some say that these laws will not work, but I say why not try them? And if it does not fix the problems within police departments, you can always create stricter laws for police to follow. In conclusion, defunding the police is a bad idea. It will create many more problems and will leave the criminal justice system with even more bad policing. Taking away funds will cause crime to rise because it will lessen the effectiveness of police because of police officers being laid off and having less access to equipment. Police departments will also not have funds to put new officers through better training, which will result in bad police. The best solution to solving the problem of racism and brutality in the police are to make reforms or to require stricter laws, to not allow officers to misuse their power of the law. That is why defunding the police is not the solution towards solving racial inequality and police brutality.